Dollar General's fuel pilot signals a new era for rural retail. So, to summarize the article, Dollar General's testing out and adding gas stations at 40 of their stores in places like Alabama, rural communities. The idea is to help people in small towns by letting them access gas, groceries, and all their everyday stuff in one stop. It helps the company use its land better, get more customers, and they might even add a gas rewards program, kind of like Walmart does, to keep shoppers coming back. So why gas? Why do you think Dollar General is adding gas? I want to get your take.
Gas, because it's something that people buy, every day. Not the same individual every day, but it's an everyday, every week use. Dollar General's really trying to. If you go in their stores, you see they hit that. They don't try and fill all your needs. They try and fill the 20% that people use all the time and be aggressive with that pricing. And most of their stores are in rural small markets. Nationally, Brendan and I worked on some of that stuff in California and Oregon some years ago. Their targets are like towns of 3,000 people. So the folks in those towns don't really have good access to services, including gas.
And they're far from
they may be 15 miles away from where a population center is, that sort of thing. So gas, I think for all of us, if we can, it's a go get it done as fast as you can sort of thing. You don't really want to.
You don't want to drive 20 minutes to go fill up gas and drive 20 minutes back.
So they're filling a need. It also helps bring traffic to their stores. So if you're pulling in, you're going to get some gas instead of just running into the convenience market. You can actually run into a market, and even if it's just grab a cup of coffee or a soda, it may be. I'm stopping there. I can get some basics for the family on the way home, and I can get gas at the same time. I'm sure they'll be aggressive with their pricing. That's just who they are. So it'll probably, and we all know from experience, if you find yourself in a rural, out of the way market, God knows what you might have to pay for gasoline.
Oh my gosh!
It might be 30 cents a gallon or something more than what it would be in a more urban area. So they'll, as they do with groceries and the other goods they sell, there'll be substantial savings, I'm sure, for the consumer. So
drive more consumers to their location, do the convenience model of get them there for the gas and then sell them the stuff inside the actual store.
And they're going back in, they're adding gas to existing stores. So it also helps them increase their average unit volumes by, making an additional capital investment, but it drives more traffic, pumps up their volumes, and without, having to build a whole new store or that sort of thing. And
works both directions.
Yep.
Their existing stores help sell gas. They put gas, it helps drive sales for the existing store.
That would be my feeling.
Yeah. Well, obviously you guys worked on this, so Brennan, maybe touch on as far as how often did you guys go in and buy a parcel, but you were only going to use a portion of it, and then you sit there with looks like a big empty grassy field next to the parking lot. So from a land use standpoint, being able to leverage that extra land.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to just lower your principal into the land. Like, they have all this extra land. They own a lot of their properties. We were doing build to suits for them. So they own a bunch of those. They, most of the time there's always excess land. You only need to build what you need to build there. So there's a lot of the time there's extra land, and they can put those gas stations on there pretty easily, especially in these rural areas, like Phil was saying, like Alabama, things like that. They've got a lot more land than, say, Metro Phoenix, but it's I think it's a good model. I think it's going to do pretty well.
From the entitlement standpoint, obviously they already own the land, right? So do you think it's more challenging for the most part in smaller markets? Is it easier because there's not as many people, as much ticker tape to kind of cut through? What are your thoughts on like getting it accomplished and
I
approved?
think it'll be easier. Metro areas for gas in today's world are difficult.
Yeah.
It doesn't make a difference where you are, whether it's Phoenix, Arizona, or God forbid somewhere in California. It's a very tough entitlement process. The rural areas are easier, but it'll vary market by market.
Yeah.
The biggest opposition usually comes from the competition, and depending on who the ownership is on the competition and how rooted they are in that small community, that'll tend to define how much opposition you're going to have.
Which is a great segue kind of into the next question. Do you think this is going to hurt other gas stations in that market? I mean, you talked about being competitive. We know we took a trip to California a couple summers ago when, Quinn was going to summer camp in Monterey, and we did the whole Highway 1 coastline. I mean, there was a period of time there I got worried that we weren't going to be able to find a gas station. I was going to run out of gas at like 1 o'clock in the morning, and then we finally saw a gas station. It was $8 a gallon. So I had no choice. It was
Supply and demand, baby.
Yeah. So I mean, what do you? Again, you're talking about opposition. I mean, it's your guess is that they're going to come in competitive. It's gonna hurt other gas stations, and then those so there's like this circular thing.
I think it'll impact their margins first.
Mm-hmm.
Interestingly, and that the margins would be nothing like they might be for a jar of peanut butter, but we used to have to do a bread basket comparison when we were going into a market for a new Dollar General, and there were specific items that they had us go in and survey the pricing on those, and then compare those to the Dollar General everyday prices. And the range was typically between 40 and 50% cheaper.
On Dollar General stuff?
Yes. And it was not private label stuff. It was flag brand, Skippy peanut butter or whatever that might be. That won't be true of gas, but certainly, as you just pointed out, many of those operators in those small towns take advantage of the less competition, certainly,
lack of supply,
and the pricing and the margins are up higher. So I think the first thing that happens to those folks probably is they'll have to compete, or the people don't care so much about driving down the street to save 3 cents. I guess some people do, but if you're going to save
dollars,
30 cents a gallon or something, then people will
go the extra mile,
drive by the pump and keep on driving.
Yeah, they'll go the extra mile just to get there.
So it'll impact margins.
So as we kind of wrap up this article, what can go wrong? What do you foresee if they try and roll this out to more stores across rural America? What could go wrong with it? What do you think the challenge is?
You want to speak to that?
I'm not thinking of much off the top of my head. I mean, they're going to increase the people into their stores. It's basically going to be a gas station with a C-store that just has more stuff.
So there's supply and delivery issues that it brings to bear. You can't throw the gasoline in the back of the same truck that's driven
with the bread and the Skippy
coming and delivering the toilet paper, right? So that's tanker trucks and a whole fleet of doing that, and these stores are spread out. So there's costs that come with that. Always liabilities that come with that. You're handling a flammable product that if you're careful and you do things right, there's no problems. But there can be, and they can be fairly severe. So I think handling, delivery, the logistics that go with that, if that's not your main business, are you good at it? Does it get treated like a stepchild, that sort of thing.
You know, they may be aggressive with their buying, and you know they're buying too much that they can't sell, and they're sitting on inventory, and then they're having to fire sell and lower prices and take a loss. You know, maybe the consumer, you know, prefers their other choice that they've already had for gas, and they have a relationship, you know,
Sure,
that they're loyal to, and they just don't want to change. So there's always the inconsistencies. Whenever there's change, you don't really know the outcome. You hope that everybody that wants to go to, you know, the store wants to get gas, and you want customers that are bringing in, you know, opportunity for the C-store that need gas. And so you're hoping that it all works. But again, it's a new business. It's a new venture. The logistics, like Phil talked about, are always going to be challenging with any new business, and inventory control and their buying of, you know, how many gallons and what they're doing, you know, could affect their cash flow and situation.
On the surface, it sounds great, makes perfect sense, but underneath the surface, going that far outside of what their core business is could create problems if they're not good at it.
Yeah, you know, they made a big move some years ago, adding more fresh produce, fresh food options, and you know, that was a big step for them. They were taking certain portions of floor space in the stores and committing it and buying coolers, et cetera, et cetera. But at least that went right with what the core was in the store. The person coming in there was, you know.
If you're buying canned goods, you're going to look at the fresh produce too.
Yeah, exactly. And it filled a need for those folks, because if they couldn't buy it there, but they were buying their other goods there, you were forcing them to go to a competitor to buy those items. So that fit real well, right? Gas kind of steps aside from that. It's really a different, and it may be seamless. People may, you know, jump on the opportunity and think it's the best thing that ever happened to them, having this option right down there at the DG. But consumers are often unpredictable.
They're fickle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it looks like it's basically a latch-on business that's separate that just latches on to their existing core.
And it's, you know, I believe the article says they are testing it like 40 stores. You know, that when you have 20,000 stores, that's not a big deal.
No.
So
you can make mistakes at 40 and still be okay.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, it's yet to be seen, and we'll see more how Dollar General does with rolling out gas. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more commercial real estate insights and information. See you next time, and stay hungry, my friends.